All right, strap in, everyone. We're going deep on this Beast Games thing. You know, the MrBeast show that will they hit Amazon Prime. It promised a whole lot of competition and like a chance to award big money. But you know there's a twist, right? Behind all the hype and the crazy challenges, there are some serious questions coming up. Accusations of mistreatment, bad working conditions, even legal trouble brewing. So is this all just internet drama blowing things out of proportion? Or is there something more here?
It's wild how this is all playing out. You've got this crazy contrast between how the show's presented and then the stuff that's starting to come about. Like, on one hand, you have Beast Games, right? This massive record-breaking thing, 1,000 contestants all going after a $5 million prize. It sounds like a dream come true, especially because it's all based on MrBeast's, super popular YouTube channel. It's hard to resist.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of something that huge? It was all about this like ultimate competition, a life-changing kind of opportunity. But then as we start digging deeper, it gets kind of dark pretty fast. We're seeing firsthand accounts from contestants, whispers from the crew, even feedback from the venue staff. And it's painting a pretty messed up picture, to be honest.
And right at the center of it all is this class action lawsuit. This isn't just people complaining online. We're talking serious legal action filed against MrBeast's company and Amazon, too. 5 contestants are involved, and they're choosing to stay anonymous for now. But what they're saying is pretty heavy. They're alleging some really serious stuff, from not getting paid fairly to straight-up harassment.
So we're not just talking about hurt feelings here. These are some big accusations.
Right, we're talking about not even getting minimum wage, emotional distress, being denied breaks, and it gets worse. One of the contestants actually said, and I quote, "I just left feeling really insignificant and mistreated and traumatized. I still haven't gotten paid."
Wow, that really puts things in perspective. This isn't just about the competition. It sounds like there were some real human costs here.
Absolutely. And those claims are backed up by some disturbing stories from other contestants, too. Like, there are accounts going around about people collapsing during filming, apparently from exhaustion and not getting enough to eat.
Wait, seriously? They weren't even giving contestants enough food and water. That's basic stuff.
That's what they're saying. And then you have another contestant who was knocked unconscious during one of those crazy challenges. Makes you wonder about how safe things really were.
You'd think with a production this big, they'd be all over safety.
You would think so. But there are even reports of contestants having to give up their medications. And not just over-the-counter stuff, we're talking about important meds that people need. Really makes you question how much the production actually cared about individual needs and, the risks they were putting people at.
So not only were they maybe ignoring basic needs like food and safety, they were messing with people's medical stuff too. That's a whole other level of messed up.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the contestants who were reportedly not happy. Think about where they filmed this Allegiant Stadium. Word is the staff there were not impressed. Reports of disrespect, damage to the place, and like a general feeling that they don't want MrBeast and his crew back.
So the problems weren't just limited to the contestants themselves. That says a lot about the whole atmosphere of the production.
Exactly. And then you have a crew member who anonymously spoke out, saying they were disappointed with how everything was handled. It suggests that even the people working on the show weren't happy with what was going on.
So with all these accusations flying around, where's MrBeast in all of this? What's he said about it all?
Well, at first, there was silence, which, can be kind of suspicious. But then finally, someone from his team released a statement. They said they had reached out to most of the people involved to get feedback, and they'd started a formal review.
So at least they're acknowledging that there might be some problems to fix.
To a degree, yeah. But it's interesting how they also emphasize all of MrBeast's philanthropy work, like all the stuff he's done to help Ukrainian refugees, bringing solar power to a village, rebuilding houses. It almost felt like they were trying to distract from the bad stuff by highlighting all the good he's done.
Like they're saying, look at all the good he's done. How could he possibly be involved in anything this bad?
Yeah, it's a common tactic. But it's especially interesting here given how serious the accusations are. Their statement also mentioned how excited they were to bring even more people to the, quote, world's largest game show in history, which, given everything that's come out, felt kind of tone deaf,
Yeah, I can see how that wouldn't go over well.
And then MrBeast himself popped up on social media. He claimed they have behind-the-scenes footage that would clear everything up, but he refused to release it, said it would spoil the show.
It makes you wonder, if he really has footage that proves everything was fine, why not just release it?
It's a weird move for sure. Is he really trying to protect the show, or is there something else going on?
I'm starting to have my doubts. And speaking of the show, How was it actually received? Did it live up to all the hype, or was it a flop?
Well, let's just say the critics weren't impressed. Beast Games has a dismal 14% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. To put that in perspective, that's lower than some of the worst movies out there.
Ouch. That's rough. What were people saying about it?
A lot of critics thought it wasn't original at all, compared it to Squid Game, but not in a good way. They questioned the ethics of the whole thing, saying it basically exploited people who were desperate for money just to entertain viewers. Some people did enjoy the spectacle, they thought it was fun and engaging, but a lot of viewers found it disturbing, almost dystopian, especially after hearing what the contestants had to say.
Sounds like there's a clear divide between people who just saw it as entertainment and those who saw something more problematic.
Exactly. And that brings us to a bigger conversation about where the line is between entertainment and exploitation.
All right, let's talk about that. Is it okay to profit from someone's desperation, especially when you have someone like Mr. Beast with all his wealth and influence, basically controlling what happens to these contestants, many of whom are probably struggling financially?
That's the heart of the issue, isn't it? There's no denying the power dynamics at play here, and it raises serious questions about whether it crossed a line. We need to look closer at the challenges themselves, the choices people were given, and the overall environment. Because if what they're saying is true, it's not just entertainment anymore, it becomes a question of morality and responsibility.
Let's do that. Walk me through some of those challenges and why people are so upset about them.
Okay, let's start with the very first challenge. It seems simple enough on the surface, stay in the game for a chance to win the whole 5 million or take a guaranteed share of a smaller prize. Sounds straightforward, right?
Sure, but I bet there's a twist.
Oh, absolutely. The way they presented it, the psychological pressure, the consequences for leaving it all, paints a very particular picture of how this game was meant to play out.
I'm intrigued. What exactly happened in this first challenge?
Picture this. 1,000 contestants, all excited, standing in this huge arena. Then there's Mr. Beast, standing on top of a mountain of cash, and he lays out their options. You've got 10 minutes, he says, to make a choice. Stick around and fight for the full 5 million, or hit the button on your tablet and walk away.
So a classic risk versus reward scenario. What was the catch?
Here's where the mind games come in. If only one person pressed the button, bam, instant millionaire. But if, say, 50 people bailed, they'd each get a much smaller amount, like 20 grand.
Ah, I see the problem. A guaranteed win, even if it's not as much, versus the chance of getting nothing or winning at all.
Right. And to make things even more intense, Mr. Beast starts messing with their heads, asking stuff like, do you really think you're the one, the real champion, the one who deserves the whole 5 million? Or are you going to take the easy way out?
Wow, talk about playing on people's insecurities and ambition. So did anyone cave under the pressure?
Yeah, 52 people ended up taking the guaranteed money and leaving. Some were relieved, some were disappointed, and some were probably kicking themselves the whole way home.
And what about the ones who stayed? Did it make them more confident knowing there were fewer competitors? Or did it make them nervous?
That's what's so interesting about this whole thing. It's about more than just the money or even the competition itself. It taps into something deeper, that human element of fear, ambition, and the pressure to succeed.
It sounds like this first challenge really set the tone for the whole ethical debate surrounding the show.
It does. It makes you think about whether it's okay to put people in such a high-pressure situation, maybe even taking advantage of their financial problems just for entertainment.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got a lot more to discuss.
We do. Stick with us. We'll be back to dig into the other challenges, how the production responded, and what this whole mess means for the future of online content. We're just getting started. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Beast Games controversy. We were just talking about the ethics of that first challenge and how it kind of set this, intense, almost manipulative tone for the whole show.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how the challenges themselves seem designed to create drama and conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it often comes at the expense of, the contestants actually being okay.
That's a good point. Take the sacrifice challenge, for example. They split everyone into teams, each one represented by this long line of players. And the catch was, for a team to move on, one person had to basically volunteer to be eliminated. They'd get nothing, no chance at the money.
Wow, that's harsh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in that spot, knowing your shot at millions depends on someone else being, selfless?
Yeah.
Or maybe even desperate enough?
The footage from that challenge is tough to watch. You see people begging each other, crying, trying to convince someone to make that sacrifice.
And to make things worse, you can hear Mr. Beast in the background, egging them on, pushing that whole cutthroat mentality. It's giving me serious Hunger Games vibes,
Yeah, the comparisons to dystopian stuff are definitely there. Makes you think about what kind of entertainment we're really into these days, what that says about us.
It's not just the emotional toll, though. Some of these challenges had real physical risks, too. We've heard about one where they had to grab team jerseys from this giant pile, and it sounds like it turned into total chaos. People getting trampled, even punched.
Yeah, and then there's the contestant who collapsed, apparently had convulsions. They're saying it was from being exhausted and dehydrated, which again raises concerns about whether the production was taking care of people.
And we can't forget about those allegations of them taking away people's meds. Making a tough competition is one thing, but potentially messing with someone's health by not letting them have their medication. That's a whole other level of wrong.
Absolutely, it goes beyond entertainment at that point. It's potentially negligence and harm.
So, with all this coming out and critics slamming the show, what's next for Beast Games?
That's the big question, right? The lawsuit is still ongoing, so we'll have to see if there are any legal consequences for Mr. Beast and his company.
Even if they avoid legal trouble, their reputation is taking a hit, don't you think? Will people keep watching his stuff knowing what allegedly went on behind the scenes?
That's for each viewer to decide, I guess. But we can't forget, Mr. Beast has a ton of fans, and a lot of them are young and impressionable. Will they care about these controversies, or will they still see him as the generous, fun guy he's always been online?
And then there's Amazon. They've been pretty quiet, but as the distributor, don't they have a responsibility to make sure things are done ethically?
They do. This whole thing could change how streaming platforms deal with reality shows from now on.
It's definitely a wake-up call for the whole industry. But let's switch gears for a second and talk about the psychology behind all of this. What is it about this kind of extreme content, like Beast Games, that makes people want to watch?
It's a good question. There's definitely a thrill to it, almost like we're peeking into something we shouldn't be seeing. Watching people push to their limits, especially when it involves competition, breakdowns, and the possibility of winning big money.
It's like a modern-day gladiator arena. But instead of fighting, we're watching people battle their own anxieties, fears, and desires.
We can't help but put ourselves in their shoes, imagining how we'd handle that kind of pressure. Would we break down, or would we go for the prize?
And let's be real, there's a bit of schadenfreude mixed in too. That guilty pleasure of watching other people screw up. We don't like to admit it, but it's part of what makes reality TV so appealing.
Yeah, we don't want to see anyone actually get hurt, but there's something captivating about seeing how people handle tough situations.
And social media plays a huge role too. The drama, the controversies, all the viral clips, it all feeds the hype and keeps people talking.
It's a cycle, you know? The more controversial something is, the more attention it gets, and the more people share and talk about it online.
Which means more views and more money for the people making it.
So it makes you wonder, are we, as viewers, part of the problem? Are we the ones encouraging this extreme content by watching it, sharing it, and talking about it?
It's a tough question, but it's one we need to be asking, especially as the line between entertainment and exploitation gets blurrier and blurrier.
And as people like Mr. Beast get more and more influence, it's important to think about the ethics of what they're putting out there and how it affects our culture and values.
It's not just about individuals, though, right? There's a bigger societal context here. What does it say about us as a society that a show like Beast Games, with its focus on extreme competition and instant wealth, is so popular?
That's a deep question. We're living in a time where economic inequality is huge. Everyone's comparing themselves on social media, and we're constantly told that success equals money and fame.
So it makes sense that a show like Beast Games, promising to change your life with a ton of money, would appeal to people, especially those struggling financially or feeling like the traditional ways of succeeding aren't working for them.
It's not just about the money, though. It's about feeling validated, being recognized, escaping from the boring everyday stuff.
The show taps into those desires that we all have: financial security, recognition, and the dream of achieving something that seems impossible.
And it does it in a way that's both exciting and kind of messed up, forcing us to look at the uglier parts of human nature and what people will do for fame and fortune.
It's like a mirror reflecting our times, showing us the anxieties and dreams of a generation dealing with an uncertain and super competitive world.
And it makes you think about what values we're passing on to the next generation. Are we accidentally promoting this idea that winning, no matter what it takes, is the only thing that matters?
Or can we find a balance between competing and being compassionate, recognizing that everyone has value, regardless of their money or social status?
Those are the questions we need to be thinking about as we move forward. As we wrap up this part of the conversation, I want to leave you with this thought.
I'm listening.
Is Beast Games a symptom of something deeper going on in our society? Or is it just harmless entertainment that reflects our fascination with competition and the drama that happens when the stakes are high?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think it's a question we each have to answer for ourselves.
Exactly. But one thing's for sure, this controversy has started an important conversation about the ethics of online content, the power of online personalities, and what happens when the line between entertainment and exploitation gets blurry.
Well said. In the last part of our deep dive, we'll explore the potential long-term effects of this whole thing and what it means for the future of reality TV, online content creation, and how we view fame, fortune, and the American dream.
Stay tuned for part 3 of our look into the Beast Games saga.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into all this Beast Game stuff. We've talked about some pretty serious allegations, contestants being mistreated, unsafe conditions, a production that seemed more focused on creating a spectacle than on making sure people were okay.
Yeah, we've also looked at why people are drawn to this kind of extreme content and what the show's popularity might say about deeper anxieties in our society.
Right. So now let's think about the potential fallout from all of this. Will this be a turning point for MrBeast, a moment that defines his career? Or will it just fade away like another internet controversy?
It's the question on everyone's mind, for sure. MrBeast has built this whole empire, right? Pushing the limits, making those viral videos everyone talks about, mixing entertainment and philanthropy in a way we haven't really seen before.
He's become a symbol of what it means to succeed online, a role model for anyone who dreams of making it big on the internet. And with that comes a lot of influence.
But this whole thing has kind of exposed a crack in that image, It makes you wonder about the real cost of making this kind of entertainment and the ethical stuff that might have been ignored just to get more views, more clicks, more money.
It's bigger than just MrBeast, though, isn't it? This situation forces us to think about the whole world of online content creation, where the lines between entertainment, influencers, and reality are getting blurrier and blurrier.
Totally. We're seeing so much more extreme content these days, and a lot of it is driven by this need for clicks, views, and making money off of it.
And the audience, a lot of whom are young and easily influenced, are constantly bombarded with messages that say shock value is everything, that you have to be cutthroat and competitive, always chasing wealth and fame.
So what can we do about it? How do we deal with this changing media landscape and make sure ethics aren't forgotten in the race for entertainment?
Well, I think it starts with talking more critically about the stuff we watch and listen to. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, the drama, all the crazy stuff. But we need to take a step back and ask ourselves some tough questions. What messages are they sending? What could the consequences be? And most importantly, are we okay with the ethical implications?
You're spot on. As viewers, we have power. We can choose to support creators who do things the right way, who are transparent, and who care about the people involved.
And we can demand more accountability from platforms like Amazon, push them to have stricter rules for reality shows, and to prioritize safety and fairness.
Education is key, too. We need to teach younger generations how to think critically about what they see online, to separate fact from fiction, to recognize when someone's trying to manipulate them, and to make smart choices about the content they consume.
It's about promoting media literacy, encouraging thoughtful engagement and teaching people to be a little skeptical of anything that seems too good to be true.
And for the content creators themselves, this whole situation is a warning sign. It shows how important it is to think about the ethics of what they're doing and to realize that going viral shouldn't come at the cost of being responsible.
They need to recognize how much influence they have and use it in a way that doesn't hurt people.
This Beast Games controversy is a wake-up call for the whole entertainment industry. It's a reminder that making money and putting on a spectacle should never come before treating people with dignity and respect.
It's a challenge for all of us, really, to be more careful about what we watch and support, to hold our entertainment to a higher standard, and to work towards a media landscape that reflects our values, fairness, compassion, and respect.
So, to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this. The future of entertainment is in our hands. Let's make choices we can be proud of.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the Beast Games saga. We hope this conversation has gotten you thinking and inspired you to be more mindful about the media you consume.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep asking questions.
And remember, the truth is out there, but sometimes you have to dig a little deeper to find it.